it was so inventive and an opportunity to see Black folks in a light that you don't often get to see them in. And Cord's letter, he wrote a letter to the cast in terms of why he made this movie and how the novel Erasure spoke to him and the types of stories that he wanted to tell. And the guy can just write his ass off in terms of dialogue, in terms of structure, in terms of themes. Like, everything is fantastic. And my role's not huge, but I was like, if I can be a part of this film, that's the kind of art I want to be a part of. Monk, Thelonious Ellison, played by Jeffrey Wright, is the protagonist of our story. He's a professor, a novelist, and someone who doesn't necessarily believe in race, I think is probably one of his most interesting features. And while he is an African-American novelist, he does not wish to create novels that are specifically and only for an African-American audience. He wants to have a larger audience. And sort of is frustrated with the idea of being pigeonholed as just an African-American artist. Has dated white women. His brother Cliff comments on it when he sees him dating a Black woman. He's a bit surprised, what have you. But I think he is intelligent. He comes from a very well-to-do Black family in Boston. You know, he has 2 siblings who are doctors, me and my sister are doctors. He's a PhD. He calls himself a doctor, but we know it's not, like, really a doctor. But, you know, high achievers. And what else can I say about him? Like, he's sort of, like, really trying to reconnect with himself. One of the themes of the film is about soulmates and how people were created originally with, like, 2 heads and 2 bodies, and sort of like the gods decided to separate them so that they could not have their ultimate power come into their fullness of themselves. And so there's a theme in the film about him sort of coming back into grasp with whom he actually is. There's a part of him that feels disassociated and disconnected from himself. And the movie touches on that very deftly, very wittily. Character's name is Cliff, younger brother of Monk and Lisa. He shows up after Lisa's passing away. Sort of the black sheep of the family, literally by my skin tone and figuratively as terms of how he's described in the script. He's gay. Recently came out of the closet by sleeping with another man and sort of blowing up his marriage and his family. Trying to really sort of find himself. He's a doctor, very bright, but never really been accepted by his family. An estranged relationship with his brother. And I think his main sort of function is to show his brother just how he keeps people at arm's length. And that people have been waiting to love you and to be present for you. You just have to allow yourself to be loved. I think one of the most interesting things about the film is sort of like who gets to validate art. I find that a very sort of fascinating conversation in terms of this Black man who is very critical of this other Black woman's novel and actively eschews anything that sort of like puts him in the box of just being Black, right? But then the catch-22 is when he sees people who do things that seem that they're just for Blacks, white folks are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it drives him up the wall, dude. It drives him up the wall. I love it. And so when he actually gets a chance to be on the book review committee to sort of say, like, who's gonna win this book award, and when his novel comes up, he's like, you guys can't be kidding me. And the 3 white people are like, this is the book. And the 2 Black people are like, this ain't the book. But the 3 white people win out over the 2 Black people over picking the Black author, who is him, that he hates the book. It's hysterical. And so just like who gets to legislate and validate art is a really interesting conversation in the world today, because you see things sometimes where people are going gaga, and even I myself would be like, was that good? Like, did I miss something or something? And white people are like, yes, sir. This is the voice of a generation. I think that's just a testimony to our writer. I mean, CJ, Mr. Cord Jefferson, is gifted. Like, he's really gifted. Like, at no point in time do you feel like this is a medicine film where you're just being forced to, like, spoon-fed messages throughout the course of the thing. Like, I laughed from beginning to end. And you're dealing with race, you're dealing with sort of Monk's inability to connect with people or to keep people at a certain arm's length. You're dealing with homophobia throughout the course of the thing, but like at no point in time, it all happens relatively organically. And I wish I could tell you. If I could tell you how he does it, I would write it myself. I'm not that good. I've been watching Jeffrey Wright for a long time. One of my favorite actors. It's really quite a like milestone for me to get a chance to just share the screen with him, to be his brother. What does he bring? I mean, he's definitely one of those people that's put in their 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell style. He's a master. He is equally deft at sort of the intellectual rigor that Monk requires, and also sort of like the feigning hoodness that he also steps into too, because the man has range, right? Gosh, I like what doesn't he bring to it? Jeffrey Wright can do just about anything he puts his mind to. I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Leslie Uggams on this picture, a legend of the game. So sweet, so kind, regal, even. And it was interesting. We have our one real scene together in the nursing home when she says, "I always knew you weren't queer." And you're not quite sure how present she is or how present she isn't. And finding that very delicate balance was beautifully struck and still heartbreaking to hear as her son who just wants to be loved, But talk to her about 57 years of marriage. Like, she'll be married for 57 years this year. Met her husband, met her daughter, and just had a lovely time with her. So she's wonderful. Erika Alexander, I've been a fan of for forever. And so to get a chance to hang out with her and call her a friend has been really, really wonderful. She's just one of those light. She's a human being that is a light bulb and just shines wherever she goes, right? Myra Lucretia Taylor. We've been reunited after 21 years apart. Did one of my first plays out of grad school, Romeo and Juliet, at the McCarter Theater. She played the nurse, I played the prince. And so it's been a lovely reunion to see her after all this time. An extraordinary actor, extraordinary, just great in any and everything that she does. So it's been nice. It's been nice to be around black folks with a good-ass script, with a wonderful director, with an incredible producing team that believes in the vision and the story that he wants to tell. Like, it takes so much to get a movie made. It takes even a little bit more when it's all black people in it. So I'm happy. Feels good. He is very graceful, very calming presence, and for it to be his first film, you don't see him sweat a whole heck of a lot. The way he talks to people, like, he doesn't raise his voice, he doesn't get agitated or what have you. You know, that trickles from the top down. When you have a calm, steady voice from the top, it allows you as an actor to be calm, steady, cool, and just have fun. You know, I think so much of what a director does is creating an environment where people feel free to play, they feel safe to explore character, and I think he's done an excellent job of creating that environment.